Case here. What's up, everybody? This is Marshall Lee of DonkeyJawProjects.com, and today we have a full house. We've got Mr. Russ. How you doing, man?
Hi there.
Where can people find you?
You can find me here on YouTube as Comic Book Black Belt. You can find me on my websites, russleach.com, comicbookblackbelt.com. My new book as well, onlydeathcansaveus.com, and you can sign up for the email list there to keep abreast of what's going on, and the usual haunts, Twitter, Facebook, stuff like that.
Awesome. And Teresa, how you doing? Where can people find you?
I'm doing all right. People can find me here on YouTube or on Instagram with the same name, Teresa del Pilar, but with underscores between the words.
Awesome. And Mr. Yanimal, how you doing? Where can people find you?
Doing pretty good. You can find me as Yanimal all over the internet, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube's.
Awesome. And I said I was saying that people from the UK, but now I'm thinking about it. We got somebody from the Philippines now, and
Yes.
we got Italy, and we got the UK. So cool. We're all over the world here, and I'm from little old America. So let's see. We have we're going to get a little bit political on this one. Not too crazy, but just, talking about a certain issue that's come up. If you haven't heard, basically Kickstarter is, there's been some reports of Kickstarter apparently has, their employees have been wanting to unionize, and they are kind of putting their hand out and saying, well, I don't know if that's the right term, but they're pushing their hand out and saying, no, we're not going to unionize, even to the point of firing a couple union organizers from their company. And, I think I didn't really know a lot about unions too much. I mean, I've heard a little bit here and there, but when I heard people saying, well, I'm not going to support, Kickstarter anymore, I was like, well, let me look deeper into this. I don't want to just, be anti-union or something for no reason. I want to find out more about it. And, and I think it's more of a Democratic issue usually. Like, it tends to be more on that side, I guess. That's what I'm reading and stuff. But I don't know. To me, it doesn't seem like it has to be necessarily. I tend to be more on the conservative side, I guess. But I'm kind of more in the middle, I guess. But anyways, I don't want to make a decision just because it's a Democratic or Republican issue. I want to make a decision because I want to be informed about the actual issue and see if there is some problems. And, looking into it, I learned some things. So, some of the people who I was talking to, it was kind of a Facebook message thing. And there was some people having a conversation. Teresa was in there for sure. And, they brought up some interesting things. So, I guess I want to start with you, Teresa, because we kind of talked the most about it, I think, in the message. What do you think about this whole thing with Kickstarter, not trying to unionize and stuff?
Well, for starters, it's difficult for me to make the decision. As you said, I think it's a political thing, and people that are more to the left and to, support unions and unionizing, and people that are more conservative tend to, think more about the companies and what they need to get by in the system. So there is an element of that, but I'm also very skeptic of making those sort of decisions, like you say, based on your basic politics, and especially when it comes to American unions, because I'm not American, so I don't know exactly how unions work in America. The only experience I have is here in Europe. So my initial reaction was like, this is terrible. They're not letting the workers organize, because for me, a union is a group of people that get together in order to fight collectively for their rights as workers, right? So for me, it's always a positive thing. But then I researched it, and in America, there's a whole party affiliation thing, and it's far more political than I thought it was. So then I understood better your reserves when you were talking about it. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is as I was researching it to just understand like unions a little more, because I've never been in a union, and apparently it's only a small percentage of companies that are like workers that do work with a union. Actually, surprisingly, even though it is kind of a big issue, I guess it's gone down a lot since I think the Reagan era. And I mean, I don't know. Like, to me, I tend to think that it's important for companies to be able to be competitive, and maybe unions can kind of hold that back. But at the same time, I see the greed that happens sometimes too. It really depends. I don't think every company is guilty of being like super greedy or whatever. But I did hear some stuff about Amazon that made me think, I don't know if I want to support Amazon, but how can I get away from, ordering stuff from this Amazon, because it's like so much stuff that we need. I don't know. It's a big part of a lot of people's everyday life nowadays. So in that, they even sound worse. Now, specifically to Kickstarter, and I guess I wanted to bring the point is that unions have brought a lot of good things. The fact that we have a weekend and that we have a 40-hour work week instead of companies making their employees work themselves to the bone for little pay, and it protects from a lot of injustices and stuff. So I actually think that unions have had a pretty positive impact, and sometimes that greed that companies get into is ridiculous, and a lot of times actually. So anyways, specifically with Kickstarter, though, from what I've been reading, it kind of throws some red flags, because it sounds like a lot of the employees want to unionize, yet they're saying no, we're against unions. We've always been against unions, but the fact that a lot want to, maybe there's some abuses going on. And it's either that, or also, I don't know if Kickstarter is, kind of just tends, I think they tend to hire more left-leaning, people as employees, because they're like one of those kind of digital companies or whatever. I think maybe they're from San Francisco. I don't really know. I haven't done that much research, but so maybe that's why they like, if they want to organize just because it's part of their political beliefs, that's a different thing than there abuses going on, and they are doing that because they want to protect themselves from certain situations, and I want to hear more about like what actually is going on there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a general rule, I tend to think that unions are good, basically because of my values. Like I think we talked about it when we were talking about it on Facebook. I tend to believe that when a worker is in a company, the company is by default in a position of power, because they're the ones paying your wages. You depend on them, so they have more power than you do. Right. So in those situations, I think it's a good thing to have a union, so that you can have a little bit more power, and therefore the situation is more balanced. The only criticisms I would have personally for unions is the fact that union reps sometimes are very self-interested. But then again, you can find people that do their work in a very sleazy way in any type of job. And unfortunately, you can't just say unions are always good, because it depends on the people that are working then and on the reps that you get for your union. But as a general rule, I distrust a lot a company, especially startups, that go and say, we don't want people to unionize because we make sure that our workers are always happy. It's like, when you take a standpoint of, we are the ones making sure you are happy, but you don't have a say in it, I'm always like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't trust that.
I think it's right to be skeptical, because companies, I mean, just the nature of competition anyways in general, it is important to be competitive, but at the same time, it's so easy to fall into over the line of competitiveness to, cutting things, and like treating the people who are, helping you do what you're trying to do poorly. And it's just easy, I think, to kind of fall into that, and they need to definitely be employees, I think, do need to be protected in that. Russ, what do you think about this whole Kickstarter unionizing thing?
Yeah, it's a lot to unpack, isn't it? I agree with a lot of what Teresa has said. I would suggest that politically I'm left-leaning-ish, but not too far. I've seen a situation in the UK. As Teresa said, it's very different from America. Although there is political ties between unions and political parties in the UK, it's not quite the same thing as it is in the States. The word communist is obviously often thrown around in the States just for people who are a little more left-leaning than others. That's not to say I'm coming down on either side. I'm not. I'm very much I would imagine I would be considered a centrist or a libertarian, but personal responsibility is what I'm really all about. And I think that the problem with capitalism in general is a good thing. It's raised people up out of poverty across the world, but it goes unchecked. And when it goes unchecked, and unions are a way of checking this, when it goes unchecked, it's not a good thing, because then it's all about greed, it's all about profit, and it's not about people. And the problem with business, this is a very general point rather than specific to unions, but unions are there because you need to protect people. Unfortunately, unions, just as Teresa said, can become self-interested and not actually end up protecting the workers they're supposed to be there for, and can actually cause a lot of trouble. But the whole point is that if business was more about people than it was about money, and that works in every level. If you think about treating your employees correctly and well, they will work well for you and give you profits. If you think about providing a service for your customers and providing those customers a good service support, they will come back to you and they will make you money. And never an infinite growth just is impossible. So the idea of being able to run your companies through the stock market, financially through the stock market, so that you only get improved results on improved results. When is enough not enough? Do you know what I mean? So you need people to group together, because unfortunately capitalism to a degree is unchecked. It's different in every country. That's the other thing is people point to certain countries and say, oh, that's a socialist success, when in actual fact it's a combination of things. And I do have an issue when we get back to the specifics of what's going on over at Kickstarter. I think some of it is politically motivated, and that isn't a good place to start when you're talking about unionizing, or when you're talking about protecting workers' rights. You shouldn't start from a political perspective. You should be starting again from people. How is it protecting those workers? So I think that's maybe where the problem might lie, and how it's easy for both sides to pick at the argument. I don't think I've given any solutions there. I've just given an opinion. But definitely, I think it's about people, and unions can be a good thing. In fact, they have been in the past. But as with any organization, they can also be used quite badly and for the wrong purposes. So it's a really, really difficult conversation, or a subject, should I say. But people should be at the base of everything.
So what do you think so far, specifically for Kickstarter? What has been your assessment?
The trouble is it's just from what I've seen, from the reports that I've seen, and they've been varied. It's just too difficult to pick it out. Like you say, you know, on one side you think, well, that's a really good idea if a startup, or it's Kickstarter's been going for quite some time now. If a company's saying, oh yeah, we'll look after you, we know what's best for you, you kind of a little bit suspicious of that. But at the same time, you may be looking at, in the political environment you see in the US at the moment, you may just be looking at people trying to politicize the company, or politicize groups of people within the company. So I'm afraid the jury's out from my perspective. I think it's difficult to know because all you're getting is just snippets of information from news sites. That's all I've seen so far, anyway.
Yeah. Interesting. What do you think about this whole thing, Jan? Is he still there?
He's backstage. He's had to switch to the Mac to keep up.
No. Let's see. I was working on my comic, so I didn't. Okay, I have to let him back in. And you there, Jan?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Corresponding from deep in the Philippines, we have Yanimal here. What do you think about the whole Kickstarter unionizing situation?
I've from what I've been able to catch up on Russ and Teresa. I mean, there's some pretty big differences in when it comes to unionizing between mainland Europe and, from what I noticed from my time in the UK. And the UK seems to be much closer to the US in this regard, where the unions get to have a very clear political voice. Like in the Netherlands, that is not the case at all. It is simply collective bargaining. It is done per industry, and that's the end of it. So, you know, to bring it back to comic books, you know, like I'm finishing up making a comic book, and we're already dealing with, you know, Indiegogo versus Kickstarter, and now to have another, you know, like political side to pick on Kickstarter alone, which will probably make its way over to Indiegogo as well. Then the same is with Uber and like the cab fare tech companies who also don't want you to unionize. You know, it's a bit much when you're simply trying to get a comic book out and do a little crowdfunding on the side. So I hope I'm hoping, you know, cooler heads will prevail.
Yeah.
But you know, considering how things have been going on Twitter in the last year with comic books, I don't have very high hopes.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's pretty crazy. Even people like little old me can get caught up in stuff that I'm not trying to get caught up in. I found out actually this week. You know, so yeah, I don't know. It's really interesting. I think I just need to know more. I really want to know more about this issue. I did find out, I was just Googling it a little bit. Kickstarter is based in Brooklyn, New York, actually, which is surprising. But you know, so that, I don't know, that whatever that tells you, I don't know. But you know, I don't know. I mean, what do you think that? Because it seems like you know, I hear this report, and when I hear it, it's usually, you know, from people who are kind of getting a little bit enraged by things, I guess. I don't know. Well, I shouldn't say that, because I heard it first from a friend who I don't see getting enraged by things constantly necessarily, but like when I hear about like things that are being said on Twitter and stuff, you know, it's like, again, this enrage culture thing, and it's, is that the word, enraged? I think it is. It's like,
I think it's outrage.
Outrage. That's right. So this like kind of outrage culture, you know, and it's like I don't think that is healthy, and it's something that's very prevalent on the internet, not just comic books, but like all over the internet, with like pick any topic basically. And I think that's just very unhealthy. I'd like to see, and this is definitely like pie in the sky thinking, but I'd like to see like thinking culture and listening culture. That'd be nice. But you know, we don't see that so much. But you know, this whole thing is like, I see people getting outraged. So it's like, it seems like it's like, okay, Kickstarter won't unionize. Bam, like that's it. I'm not supporting Kickstarter. I can't do this, blah blah blah. And it's like, oh, okay. Like, did you like actually read an article about it? Did you look into it at all? And to me, it's like, I need to know more before I can say that first. And second of all, even if there is a situation like that, if one of my best friends is doing a Kickstarter, am I going to not support them because they're on Kickstarter? I don't know. Like, I have a hard time saying that personally. What do you guys think? Are you going to still support people on Kickstarter?
Where I can, yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd have to, unfortunately, separate what I did or didn't like about the business for what I did or didn't like about the creator or the creator's art, the creation. And it's like, I don't like a lot of what Amazon does, but it wouldn't stop me from buying a fellow creator's book from Amazon. So I think I'd probably be in that camp.
Yeah. What do you think, Teresa?
Well, it's a difficult question. Like,
It is.
if it's like a very good friend, I think I like my personal relationship would weigh on my ideology. So I would probably, yes, I would support them. But if it's something that I think is cool and that I would like to have as a consumer, probably no, I wouldn't. At the moment, I'm not proposing a boycott to Kickstarter, but at the moment I'm just keeping away from it just in case.
Yeah.
Because I would hate to know a couple of years down the line that there was a situation of abuse of power and mistreatment of workers, etc., and that I was supporting that. I would hate that.
Yeah, I can definitely respect that. And to be honest, like I said, for me personally, I need more information. I can't help but be like, innocent until proven guilty type of thing. I don't know. That's just, I guess, how I feel. But
I think from what you were saying earlier about people being outraged, I think that's the problem, is that we can sit here, all four of us, and have a different perspective and a different point of view, and none of us are going to sling crap at each other.
true.
We're going to respect each other's point of view and understand that people are different, and we all have different journeys and different environments and different lives, and we'll see things slightly differently. Whereas if you'd had this same conversation with four people on Twitter, there'd be a massive bun fight,
Yeah.
and people wouldn't be very happy on all sides. So
yeah, unfortunately, that is the truth. Yeah, I don't know. I will, I am surprised though to hear. I guess I shouldn't be surprised, but the stuff I heard about Amazon, like, that's really crazy. Like, I almost feel like I need to try not to, use Amazon. Like, their stuff, like, there's definitely reports of basically abuse, and that's a tough one.
yeah, and when you consider
Have you guys heard about that stuff? Or?
When you consider that the lifestyle that Amazon also encourages is also not good for high streets, but areas of shopping. I suppose it's quite different in the States, where you're more used to having malls, but over here we're kind of losing the high street because people are sitting at home and ordering things, and some of it is the high street's fault because they've not responded to it. But yeah, if you add to that the fact that the thing that's kind of encouraging people not to have a high street and a communal area is now also treating people that work for it badly, you seriously got to think about your buying habits.
I don't know what high street is, but
oh, sorry, it's just like it's a general term as well as a specific name for a street. So we've built up an environment in the UK where you have small towns and then small villages and then towns and then cities, and they have like central shopping areas where you'd have lots and lots and lots of different shops and people would go to shop physically. But those things are kind of falling away as people buy more stuff online or go to large either malls or supermarkets, grocery stores, huge grocery stores.
Huh. I think the term for Americans would be Main Street.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. I got you. Yeah, we usually have something like that going on. And yeah, I don't know. To me, I think that's maybe a little bit of a separate issue. I mean, I did bring up Amazon, so it's kind of my fault anyways, but not that it's a bad thing, but
No, I just meant to say that if you add that to the fact that people are being treated badly, then you really have to rethink, the people that you use or the services that you use.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, our malls have been definitely decreased. Like I have I mean, I have a mall near me that has been failing since I was a kid. But it is like a ghost town. If it wasn't for like Target being there and the movie theater being there, nobody would ever go there. But so I don't know. I mean, is that a bad thing though? I don't know. Like one
No.
thing is, people would get out of the house and go places, but in a lot of times the thing to do when you go out is to go shopping. Well, now maybe the thing to do when you go out is actually go to an event and do something interesting that's not shopping, So
Yeah.
maybe it's a good thing. Who knows? I don't know.
Or just maybe walk or something,
Yeah.
Go and get some outside air. That would be good.
Take a lesson from the Mr. Yanimal here and get out there and
Go travel. Yeah, come travel.
Absolutely. Cool. Yeah, I don't know. That's about all I can think of for this. Let's see if there's anything going on in this chat. It looks like we got some people. Let's see. Fogbreaker Studios says, let's see, good and bad info spreads so fast on the internet, and sometimes when people we care about strongly share an opinion, it makes us react so quickly that feelings become fact, and boom, it's a wildfire. Yeah, man.
Yeah. Fuck.
You're speaking the
Wisdom.
truth. So yeah, I guess that's all I have to say really about this subject. I would say, and everybody out there, I'd love to hear your opinions in the comments. When you watch on the replay and stuff, I'm curious what people are thinking. I don't think I'm gonna personally boycott, Kickstarter just yet, but I'm definitely gonna keep an eye out because I don't want to be part of an abusive situation, But I do feel like it's a possibility that this might be more political than, that kind of situation. So I don't want to, jump on it yet. I know for one thing, maybe it'll make me less apt to run a Kickstarter and more do like an Indiegogo or something if I do something like that. But either way, I was maybe leaning that way anyways. I don't really know.
Yeah, I am because they charge less and you can keep the store open. So that would be why I'd go there.
I like that aspect as well. But when it comes to supporting other artists, I probably will still support them if they're on Kickstarter until I hear something more about what's going on here. So that's my stance. But again, Teresa has a different stance that goes against her values and stuff. And I totally respect that.
Yeah.
And I think, you got to make your own decision,
Yeah.
So other than that, I guess we'll start with you, Teresa, actually. Let's, where can people find you once again before we head out?
Well, here on YouTube, or if you see my name down there, Teresa del Pilar, just put underscores in between words, and I'm on Instagram as well.
Awesome. And Yanimal, you?
You can find me all over the internet as Yanimal. I don't know if you can see my name on screen, but it's YANNEMAL. And come check out my art.
Awesome. And Mr. Russ, how about you?
I just wanted to say that I've
Sure.
just been watching Teresa's art on here. I think it's lovely. So,
that's awesome.
Thank you.
very nice. You can find me at Comic Book Black Belt on YouTube. At my website's russleach.com, comicbookblackbelt.com, and my book onlydeathcansavus.com. And there, all those places you can sign up for my email list. And I'm over on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and places like that.
Awesome. And you guys know where you can find me, donkeyjawprojects.com and Marsh Comics on various websites like Twitter and Instagram and what's that other one? TikTok. I love TikTok. It's so fun. So you know where to find us. Thank you, everybody, for watching and hanging out with us. Thank you guys for all chatting with me about this. You guys probably know more about this stuff than me, so it's good to have you guys on, especially about something like this. And thank you, everybody, watching on the replay, and we'll talk to you on the next one. Alrighty.